If you didn't see part 8, description. Or 7, description. 6, description. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All of that, description. All of it's in there. Make sure you check it out. Then come back to this. This is 9. Spider-Man web swing to the bridge. He lands on the bridge. No one is there. He is completely alone. There are no cars on the bridge. There's no one on the bridge. Peter even says, why aren't there any cars? He looks around and is silent. Harry! Peter yells out. No one is here. Then his phone rings again. And he answers it. And it's Gwen. He answers it. And there's just this noise. Like that. He doesn't know what's going on. He has absolutely no idea. And then his spider says, "Joom, joom, 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 joom," and he sees this glider. It's a glider. It's coming, and it's going towards the bridge. No one is on it. And he's like, what is that? And it's going towards the bridge. It's not going towards Peter's. He's going towards the top of the bridge. And it gets to the top, and it like goes, and Spider-Man jumps, and he jumps really high, and he lands like he's halfway to the top of the thing. He jumps really high. He's halfway there, and he starts running up the wall, and he jumps off the wall, and he lands. And there is this green thing. It's a goblin. It's a goblin, and it's there, and we see it, and we can see that it's Harry too. So it's like Harry's face, and it's all green, and it's kind of morphed, and it's just and we see it's there. And he's looking at Peter, and Peter's like, Harry, what happened to you? And Harry has this big smile, and he doesn't say anything. And Peter's like, Harry, what is going on? Please, whatever's going on, leave Gwen out of it. And Harry just looks at Peter, and Peter starts walking towards Harry. And as he walks towards Harry, Harry just stands there. He's looking at Peter. And Peter, he's walking towards him. And Harry's still just like... And when Peter gets like, he's getting nearer, Harry starts actually laughing. I can't do that laugh, but it's very, very, very creepy and crazy. And Spider-Man walks towards him, and Harry goes, and he throws this fast punch. Spider-Man jumps out the way, and they start fighting. It's crazy. They're on top of the little bridge thing, and they're fighting. It's like crazy. Think of Captain America. It's like fighting, man. They going at it. They are fighting, fist to fist, dodging. So all this stuff. Some punches connecting on Spider-Man, some punches connecting on Harry, some stuff missing. It's crazy, all this stuff. Spider-Man jumping over him, trying to web him, can't web him, and all this. And then, all right, so now Spider-Man jumps, and he like goes over Harry, and he tries to kick Harry. Harry moves out the way, grabs his leg, and he like straight up brings him down to the ground. He does this, boom, right on Spider-Man's face. Spider-Man on the ground, and he like, and he webs Harry's face, pulls him down, boom, boom, boom. Harry goes, and Harry is bleeding now, and he looks at Peter, and he like has this this thing pops out of the glider. We don't know what it is, but it's this thing. It pops out of the glider, and Harry looks at Peter, and he goes, and he grabs it, and he throws it at Peter. And so think of a bag. It was like a bag, and it popped out of the glider, and he threw the bag at Peter. And while the bag was flying through the air, some like pumpkin bombs come out of the bag, and they're going towards Peter. Do 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 do. Boom! Explosion, and it explodes, and Spider-Man is flying off of the bridge. He's flying off of the bridge. Spider-Man webs back onto the bridge, and he comes up, and he like freaking kicks Harry in the face. Harry goes, and he looks at Peter, and he says, "Enough is enough." And he pulls out a gun. And he's shooting quickly. Spider-Man dodging everything. Dodging all that. And he runs up to Harry, and he kicks him in his chest. And Harry flies off of the bridge. And when Spider-Man, he looks over and he webs Harry, that way he doesn't like fall. And when he webs him, it's like it hits Harry and it stops him from falling. And then Harry looks up at him and he has these like the things that, you know, Batman had, the things, the claw things, and he hits the web. And when he hits the web, he throws up this like gas, and it hits Peter. And he can't see, and it's like, and he opens his eyes and there's smoke all around him. It's smoke everywhere, and he's looking. And then we hear the laughing again, and then we see Harry is standing out. So he's on his glider. He's standing out on his glider, and he's looking at Peter, and in his arms is Gwen, and he's looking at Peter, and he's like, "Do you love her?" And Peter goes, and he runs to jump at Harry. He runs to jump at Harry, and Harry looks at him, and he punches the mess out of Harry. Like, boom, it's a really hard punch. And Harry, he is sent like flying off of the glider. And then Gwen falls out of Harry's arms. And Gwen is falling, and she's completely asleep. She looks asleep. Gwen is falling, and Peter he jumps off the glider and he's diving towards her. And they were high up. They were higher than the bridge. He's diving towards her. And then Harry, he hits the ground. We see Harry hit the ground. And Peter's going towards her, and he looks at like a flagpole, and he goes to, and so this is it. The flagpole is out. They're falling, and they're high up. And Peter, he grabs onto the flagpole and he webs at Gwen. He webs at her. And then he lowers her down and he jumps down. And there she is on the ground. And she is dead. But okay. So he looks at her. Yeah, she's dead. He looks at her. And he's looking at her. He's like, "All right, Gwen. You all right? Gwen?" Now, I want to just play this back again. Okay, how it will visually look. We would see Spider-Man coming down with Gwen, and then he holds onto the flagpole like, and the flagpole bends. Also, it bends, and when it bends, it goes up and almost breaks like into the brick. So it's like, and it breaks into the brick. I don't know if that's what happened. I don't know. It's my story. And it breaks to the brick, so now it can't bend. There is no room for bending. All right. And he lands. So he's like that. And then we would see her falling. We would see like her falling from like this point of view. So the camera would be down here. We see her falling head first, right? And then we would go back and we would see the camera. We would see the web attached to her leg. It would attach to her leg, and it would be too late. Right, so it would go like a you know, it does what it did in the comics when it pulls her leg like that and it snaps her neck, and her head would also hit the concrete, and we would see it, and we would see it like the camera would be back, and we would see, and her eyes aren't open though, but it's like, and then Spider-Man, then we would see him like lower the web, that way she now on the ground like that. He jumps down and he goes to her and he's holding her and he looks at her and he's like, "Gwen, come on, Gwen, wake up, Gwen, you all right, Gwen?" And then we see his hand is on the back of her head, and we see blood is on his hand, and then she starts bleeding out of the nose. He's like, "Gwen," and he starts crying vigorously. He starts crying, "Gwen, Gwen, Gwen, Gwen," and then he looks over at Harry, and he's still holding Gwen, and he starts crying so hard. He starts crying, and we see Harry's on the ground, like we don't know if he's dead or not. Harry is right now the least of Peter's concerns. He's looking at Gwen. He pulls out his phone and it's 911, and he hits call, and he puts his phone down, and then he places Gwen down gently. He looks up at Harry, and he starts walking towards him. And he's not saying anything. He's walking towards him. And Harry's on the ground. He's walking towards Harry. and he's walking, and he looks crazy, and the mask begins to come up slowly. The red and blue begins to come up slowly, and it comes up, and he's walking towards Harry, and then Harry doesn't say anything. He's just like that. His head moves up, and he looks at Peter. He opens his eyes, and Harry's eyes are like reddish, like a reddish yellowish. The white, so where it should be white, it's like a reddish yellowish, and he's looking at him, and Harry's green and just looks horrible, and Harry's wearing like this hood. It's like it. So I didn't even describe the Goblin's outfit. It's like this hood, right? Think of kind of like the 616, but not as lame. It's like a hood, and it's kind of technological and stuff, but it looks very similar to the comics. It's a purple hood, you know. It looks pretty neat. It looks rad. So Peter is walking towards him, and Harry looks at him with his eyes. He just looks at him, and then we spider sense goes off, and there's the glider is coming straight for Peter. Peter looks at it, and he jumps over. So he's like, think of in the comics and in the Spider-Man 1 Raimi franchise, he jumps over it, and the glider is coming towards him, and now it's coming towards Harry, and Harry is on the ground like that, and he's looking at it, and Harry jumps up, and he lands on the glider, and shoom, takes off, and Peter goes, no, and he webs at the glider, and is now hanging on to the glider, and he's like pulling himself up to the glider while it's going, and it's like that, and Harry's trying to shake Peter off, and he's like, and Peter is like hitting buildings and everything. He's just climbing up like that. He's climbing up, and he's hitting buildings and everything. He's hitting buildings, and then once he gets up to the glider part, is where his hands are. It like some knives come from out of the line, straight into Peter's hands. We hear the spider do, and it goes straight through Peter's hands, straight through both of them. And then this gas just comes out, and we hear like some explosions. It's like, and Peter is just sitting there, with the knives through his hands, and the explosions kind of hitting his face, and the gas hitting his face, and then Peter, and then the knives are pulled out of his hands. They're pulled out of his hands, and he's falling down, and Peter's falling down now, and he sees the glider just going past, and he has these tears in his eyes while he's falling. He's just looking at the glider go past. And he doesn't say anything. He's just looking. And he hits the ground. Doom. And he's just looking. And it's a long fall too. He doesn't say anything. He just has tears in his eyes. And he's looking at the glider, and it keeps going. And he's just looking. He's looking at the sky now. He's just looking at the sky. He's in like an alleyway. He landed in an alleyway. He's just looking at the sky, thinking everything is lost. He gets up, and we hear everything cracking, and then we see the symbiote, like with the red and blue. We see it like kind of forming and stuff, and we see it like his limbs like shifting into place, and he's walking. And he web swings back to the bridge, and he's now without his spider suit. He's Peter Parker, and he's with Gwen, and he's holding her, and he's holding her, and he's crying, and then we hear whoop whoop, and the police are coming now, and he's crying, and he's crying, and he's crying, and the police get there. And then the scene ends. So now, we cut to, it's like this little thing of like her funeral. Peter's there, and his aunt is there, and Gwen's family is there, and it's kind of sad. It's actually really sad. Peter he's not saying anything at the funeral. He's with his aunt. His aunt is trying to comfort him, but he's not saying anything. And then they go to the we see they're at the cemetery, and they lower her coffin into the grave, and then And then it cuts, like it's like a transition. It's nighttime, and it's like her grave. This is Gwen Stacy, 1994 through 2014 or whatever. And we're looking at it, and she's dead. The coffin is there, and he's looking at it, crying, like silent cries, just with tears coming down. And then we cut, and Peter is now sitting in his room. He's sitting in his room, looking at the wall, and he's thinking, I killed her. I did it. Maybe Harry was right. I'm everyone around me. I just bring nothing but pain. Uncle Ben, Gwen's father, now Gwen. I don't understand why. Gwen's dad said to stay away from her, and I didn't. And now she's gone. She's gone. A 19-year-old girl. She had her whole life. She was about to go to college, and she's gone because of me. And then Peter's phone starts ringing, and Peter looks at it, and it's Eddie Brock, and he answers it. And Eddie is like, Peter, oh my goodness, I've been calling you for weeks, man. You haven't been answering. I'm so sorry. I'm at a loss of words. I'm so sorry. I saw in the news, man. I'm so sorry about Gwen. I'm so sorry. And Peter's like, yeah. And Eddie's like, I'm here for you, man. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. I just got the full job at, I got the job at the Bugle. I'm full time now, reporter. And man, we need to hang out or something. You want to come down to the gym? Maybe let off some steam. Peter says, I'd like that. That'd be cool. Eddie's like, all right, man, come on down. I'm there now. Come on. And Peter's all right. And he hangs up, and he looks up at the picture of Spider-Man that he had on his wall. He looks at it, and he rips it down. Like, he rips it. And he's at his apartment. And he's looking out the window at the city. He's looking. And he's about to jump off, but he doesn't. He turns around, and he for the first time in the movie, he opens up his door, and he leaves that way, closed door behind him. And the movie ends. Now, the credits begin to roll, and we also see, like, it's like a picture over here while the cameras are rolling, while the credits are rolling. It's Eddie Brock, and it's Eddie and Peter, and they're like fighting and stuff like that, and he's like helping Peter, and Peter, he's kind of teary-eyed while he's fighting and stuff. They're sparring, and he's training Peter. We see like him training him and stuff while the credits are rolling. We see him training him and everything. And then we see Eddie Brock proposing to Felicia Jones. We see Eddie Brock proposing to Felicia Hardy, and her saying yes, and all that. And then and then we see Eddie Brock and Felicia Hardy. They're all happy and stuff. And then we see Peter. He's all very, very distraught and sad. And then it ends. So now there's this screen, like this wall filled with screens. I'm talking about screens, and it's Spider-Man fighting Shocker, Electro, Lizard, the Rhino thingy, truck thing, Aletsky Sketskovich in the truck, not Rhino, but Goss up the Rhino, whatever. And there's this chair facing it, just facing all of it. We see behind the chair and this long table, and there's people, it's like people at the table, only 2 people, guy with the hat and the stuff, man shadows, and this guy with glasses. And they're both looking at it too. And the guy with the glasses says, "What an interesting specimen." And the person in the chair, he says, "Yes, you should have seen it. He took down all of these people." And the person in the chair turns around and is Harry, and he says, "That's why we need you, Otto, because you have a lot of contacts." And Otto says, "That I do." He says, "Great, because we need a team." "And how big do you want this team?" "Something manageable," Harry says, as he has this weird smile. And we look, and then the camera zooms back, and we see Otto, the Man Shadows, and Harry Osborn at the end of the table, like he's the boss, and all that. We see it zoom back, and then it flashes and ends. And that's it. That's the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, my story. Let me know what y'all think about this in that comment below. Let me know. I'm going to do 3. Yes, I'm doing 3, and I am also going to do 4, and the Venom movie. I'm debating if I do the Sinister 6. I know how I would sort of do the Sinister 6, but I really wouldn't do a Sinister 6 movie. I would do something like a miniseries, something on Netflix, something. But that's just me. So yeah. Let me know what you guys think about my movie. Let me know what you guys think, what you like, what you don't like. And yes, as always, thank you guys for watching. I have been to me, comment, rate, subscribe. Peace out. Out. Peace, guys. Have a good one.
Venom to a million.